What's up, guys? Will from revolutionarylifestyledesign.com, coming to you today from the beautiful, sunny Thailand, telling you why you need to commit social suicide. Okay, and let me just emphasize that social suicide, not telling you to do anything crazy. What I mean by that is this. I want to start with a quote from the Roman satirical playwright and poet Juvenal. The people that once bestowed commands, consulships, legions, and all else, now meddles no more and longs eagerly for just two things: bread and circuses. You might have heard that before in a number of different ways, but Juvenal is lamenting the decline of the Roman Empire as he watches men become soft and weak. And if you want to have a look at the decline of the American Empire, just look at the SJW activists and look at the quality and character of the average man. This is a land that was settled by pilgrims who came over with nothing and built a civilization out of the wild. You want to look at movies like The Revenant and see the type of man that forged this civilization from nothing. And these guys are as tough as they come. Now people need trigger warnings on articles so that they don't have mental breakdowns. Okay. So as much as things change, they still stay the same in a lot of ways. So this is similar to the life cycle of the Roman Empire, where it was built by these really strong guys, and in turn it declines into hedonism and decadence and laziness and softness, basically, once people have all their needs met. So as long as people get their food and entertainment, they're happy and docile. And if you think that things have changed since then, it's dead wrong. That Juvenal quote applies as much now as it did when he wrote it. Power is still in the hands of the elite, who now offer genetically modified food and state-sanctioned reality TV circuses. Okay, you look at UFC, and I love the UFC. That is no different than the gladiatorial Colosseum from ancient Roman days, and stuff like The Bachelor and the reality TV. These are mindless distractions for a nation of zombified sheep. Okay, as the American Empire declines, the gap between the elite and the masses widen. The elite produce more distractions for a poor, unhappier public. The means have changed, but the method is still the same. It's indoctrination is the end goal, and what they want is the distracted, obedient serf who is too stupefied by poverty, as Orwell puts it, to be able to reclaim the natural rights of freedom that he's been endowed with by being alive. Right? There is nothing in the manual of living that says that you need to subject yourself to a physical government. Right? We are just born into this slavery system. Okay, and don't think it's any different than slavery. A government is a criminal monopoly. Okay, that's all it is. They're a monopoly on crime. And since you're reading this blog, you're reading my blog, you're listening to the audio, you're listening to me on SoundCloud or iTunes, or you're watching the video on YouTube, you're probably sharp enough to realize that involving yourself in causes or wasting time trying to battle the elite and the nature of the system is just not worth it. Okay, since the dawn of civilization, humans have been ruled by ruthless elites, and what you need to do is you need to focus on your best interests as opposed to society's. I run a blog dedicated to helping men transform their lives, and I can tell you, even transforming just one life is a massive undertaking. Okay, the majority of guys who read my stuff just view it as lifestyle porn, and they don't actually take action. Just changing my own life has been extremely difficult. Okay, let alone starting up a revolutionary movement. It is not going to happen. So what you need to do is focus on your own self-interest, and you need to become as free as possible in an unfree world. Okay, there's a great book on that topic called How to Be Free in an Unfree World by Harry Brown. Strongly suggest you read that. Your best interests are what you need to focus on. So that's your liberty, your knowledge, your wealth, your health, and your relationships, and creating the best possible life for yourself. Okay, you need to be able to earn the money you want, have the freedom you want, the body you want, the women you want, but that takes sacrifices. Okay, you need to separate yourself from the average guy who works a shitty job and just wants to come home and drink a beer and eat pizza and watch a football game. Okay, to rise above the ordinary man takes focus and takes dedication. If you want to be ordinary, you're in the wrong place. Don't listen to my stuff. Don't read my blog. You know, go read NFL.com or whatever distraction you prefer. Okay, you need to separate yourself from the herd if you want to make it in this world and you want to make something of yourself in this world. That means unplugging from the giant indoctrination machine and using your time as wisely as possible to build the best life that you can. Okay, I call that social suicide. You can call it societal suicide, social media suicide. All these things need to go. Okay, first one, social media. Facebook is for little girls, and I fucking hate Facebook. Okay, I'll tell you that. Full disclaimer, I have a Facebook profile for Will Freeman. Will Freeman is not my real name. Okay, the name Will Freeman means will free men. Most guys don't get that, unfortunately. The only reason I started Facebook profile was so I could have, you need a personal Facebook page to start a business page. So to have my Revolutionary Lifestyle Design Facebook page, I needed a personal Facebook page. It is strictly for business. And I use my personal Facebook page as a means of communicating with people now that I live in Thailand. That's the way that the majority of people who live abroad talk to each other is through Facebook Messenger. So I use that for that very reason. I do not look at my Facebook page. I have an app that completely kills the Facebook feed. Those would be the only two exceptions for using Facebook. If you are operating a business, or it is the only means of communicating with people, and you're a permanent traveler. As a man, you probably don't have too many close friends, so the ones that you do have should all be in your phone and email contacts. Okay, if you're living in the city you grew up with, that you grew up in, and you've got your buddies in your phone, there's no reason to have a Facebook. Okay, it's an absolute just waste of time. Back when I still lived in Toronto, the only communication I would do with my guy friends is basically, hey, you free to meet up? Okay, cool, what time? Right? They're not reading my Facebook. They don't care if I went to Starbucks and posted a fucking picture of the fucking coffee. No one gives a fuck about that. And if they do care about that shit, then you need new friends, okay? That's for fucking girls. Like, you should be so busy with your work and fulfilling your mission that you wouldn't even think of doing that shit unless that is for your business. I use Twitter for my business, and I have to force myself to use it. On Sunday I schedule 7 tweets for the week, and every morning I wake up, I check my emails, I check the comments on my website, and I check my Twitter and respond accordingly if I need to. I absolutely hate Twitter. I don't even have it on my phone. I just use it through the actual website, usually through Hootsuite, and that is strictly for business. If you don't have a business that involves social media, that is a complete waste of time. Okay? Social media forces you to compete with people's false best representation of their lives, leaving you feeling negative instead of focusing on your mission and tuning everyone out. Let me ask you this. If you've been on Facebook for an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is usually what happens, you get sucked in, have you ever come out of that Facebook tunnel feeling good about yourself? The answer is no, because you are comparing yourself to people's fake best version of their lives on Facebook, right? I could post these amazing pictures from Thailand on my Facebook, and you guys, it would make you feel pretty shitty about living in a cold country and working under fluorescent lights, but it's not the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is I'm in my room here, or I'm on the couch doing work the majority of the time, looking out at a beautiful sunny view, but not actually experiencing it because I'm on my mission and I'm working 10, 12 hours a day, right? I could fake that. I could fake this life like most people do, but that is bullshit. And you have to understand that the people's lives that you see on Facebook are bullshit. But even knowing that you spend 1, 2, 3 hours on Facebook, your brain is extremely plastic. So you are going to be subconsciously comparing your lives to those people, and you're not going to feel good about yourself the majority of the time. It's just like watching or reading celebrity gossip or celebrity news. You're constantly comparing yourselves to these people, and their reality is completely fake and managed and all these things, but you are still going to be comparing yourself to it. So Facebook is a complete time suck. 2 minutes to turn into 2 hours. You know, I'd never been on social media for more than a month, and you're not missing anything. So drop that Facebook page, okay, unless it's for business, or unless it's the only means of communicating with people while you travel, or girls while you travel. Next up, pop culture. You need to opt the fuck out of pop culture. There's nothing worse than wasting time fetishizing celebrities, okay? I haven't had cable in years. I haven't followed celebrities in years. I don't know what new movies are out. I don't know who the hot young actors are. I don't know, outside of the music that I like, who the famous celebrities are. I don't know who the famous pop stars are for the most part. Unfortunately, I know who Kim Kardashian is only because of the absolute massive media mindfuck of promoting these monstrosities that I wish I didn't know who that was, but I do. It's only like the massive celebrities that I know, and that's where you want it to be. You don't want your precious brain space being clouded up by these fame-whoring monsters, okay? And one thing you really need to do, and I hope if you're a guy you're not into this, you need to avoid these negative, judgmental gossip sites like Perez Hilton or TMZ. Any of these celebrity sites are just, they're horrible. Their entire outlook is judgmental, it's gossipy, it's tearing people down, and they're tearing down A-list celebrities. So what's going to happen is you're going to absorb that mindset if you're on there for 2-3 hours, and then you're going to start turning that judgment onto your own life and showing how you don't stack up to this A-list celebrity who you're already hacking down in your mind. Think how much worse you're going to think about yourself, okay? So you're on there reading a guy who's tearing apart A-list, B-list, C-list, D-list level celebrities, people with much more money and fame and status than you have, and the way that you think about others is the way that you think about yourself. So you're going to get in this really negative reality tunnel, and then you're going to come out of that and you're going to start applying all that negative judgment to yourself. So when you're judging a guy who's a famous movie star negatively on all these minor aspects of his life, you're going to look around at your shitty apartment and your small goals and your lifestyle, and you're going to not feel good about yourself, okay? Instead, if you're going to read something, or if you're going to do some mindless reading, you might as well read about positive shit, okay? I always try and differentiate myself from the generic blue pill motivators, but reading a site like success.com or these entrepreneurship websites where it's kind of like retardedly positive and retard motivational quotes, that's better than like 99% of the stuff out there, okay? If you're going to divert your mind and you want something retarded to read, then read that, because reading positivity, even if it's just mindless, is still going to absorb on you, and it's still going to put you in a positive headspace, because your brain and your emotions are extremely plastic. Your emotions you're like a sponge, so you're going to absorb whatever information you're taking in, and that is a major thing. So you need to opt out of Opt out of the pop culture, opt out of the negative culture. The celebrity culture is for girls, and it's the opposite of all masculine values, okay? Instead of worshiping a celebrity, worship yourself. You know, get high on what you're going to accomplish, and get high on the great things that you're doing or that you're trying to do, okay? Next up, politics. I have to say politics is an area where I haven't completely opted out of, but I can tell you this, I do not even come close to subscribing to any type of political philosophy, be it conservative or liberal, because the differentiation between those parties is so slim. You can see it now with Donald Trump, who's a guy who actually speaks his mind. I'm doing this video and this audio a few years after I actually wrote this article. I don't want you guys getting confused if you're reading this article. And people are up in arms because they're so used to, you know, the two politicians that you get to vote for in America saying basically the same things. A guy who just says what he's thinking is shocking to everybody, because politics is a fucking charade. You know, real change agents don't make it to the polls. Donald Trump is a big exception. There are very few multi-billionaires who have the social freedom and the balls to do what he's doing. Is he going to be good for the country? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but it is something different. Real politics, the standard level of politics is a charade. Your vote doesn't matter. Okay, there's 300 million Americans and 300 million voters, and you get a choice between two guys, the conservative guy or the liberal guy, and they agree on 90% of the issues. Neither of them are auditing the Fed. No one's pulling American troops out of countries. Everyone's in favor of bombing one country or the other. No one's talking about the structural problems in America, the widening gap between the rich and the poor. No one's talking about shrinking the level of government. No one is talking about reverting back to the Constitution. No one's talking about reverting back to the Bill of Rights. Everyone is talking about increasing the amount of surveillance, producing more weapons, etc., etc. There's no major difference between a Barack Obama and a George W. Bush, except for who's backing them, who they owe, who their donors are, and what some minor differences in strategy. Okay, but they are still running the American empire, the most powerful empire in the history of civilization, and your vote is a joke, and the entire thing is a charade. All right? Politics are always and have always been run by a ruthless elite since the beginning of civilization close to 6,000 years ago. Free countries are few and far between. Civilization has been a slave ship since the beginning. Wake up. Political television is merely entertainment, and politicians only have limited power. Politicians in this day and age are merely just turnkey executives for wealthy aristocrats, banking families, powerful multi-billionaire military industrialist donors, and the people who wield power through owning the corporations, through owning the banks and usury, and through war fighting. These are the power behind the throne, so to speak. The guys who meet every year at Bilderberg, the guys who sponsor candidates, and they love the system because they themselves are not judged. Their candidates are judged every 4 years. Eventually, people get frustrated with the new guy who promised hope and change, and they just get rid of him and promote a new guy and a fresh face, and everyone gets excited by that guy, and then the system continues. The major change was the change from a monarchy where the power was in the hands of kings to the power being in the hands of banking families and businessmen. And this happened through the 17th and 18th century. Banking families and powerful businessmen sponsored these revolutions to take power away from the monarchy of that time and into the hands of the capitalists. You know, the old Rothschild saying of, I don't care who runs a country as long as they get to issue the currency. And that's how things work. You know, the central banks, the Federal Reserve, issues the currency. A private corporation issues the currency and lends it to the U.S. government at interest that they are never able to pay back, because they do not create the actual mechanism of money. It's very simple. And there's a central bank in every country, and the only two countries that didn't have a central bank as of 5 years ago were Libya and North Korea. When Libya gave up its nuclear weapons to try and join the respectable class of the free world, that was it. Once they knew that nuclear weapons were gone, Libya was invaded. There will be a central Libyan bank, and the only thing that's keeping North Korea from having a central bank is the fact that they have a ton of nuclear weapons, and they are willing to use them, which is why North Korea is still in power. Now, I'm not saying that the guys who run those countries are fucking angels. They're not. But that is the nature of the system. And that's a system that has been in power for the last 200, 250 years. But what we're seeing now is the move away from central bankers, and you're going to see the power shift in the next 100 years to the technical guys, the Sergey Brins of the world, the Google, the Apple, the Microsoft. These are going to be the guys who are running the future technocratic state. But that is a topic for another post. All you need to know is the standard politics that you're force-fed through the mass media, through the mainstream media, CNN, NBC, or MSNBC, Fox News, is straight garbage. Sports is just an extension of the gladiatorial coliseum, MMA being the most obvious and my favorite, actually. Not only do guys waste a ton of time watching sports, some guys waste their entire lives watching other men exercise. But then there's the sports talk and the pregame shows and the stats, and by far the fucking worst was fantasy football. I worked in sales where, 2 hours a day guys would be talking about their fantasy football picks and bragging against each other about who's going to win what, all for a total of like $400 for whoever won. And it just made me want to blow my fucking head off listening to the absolute retardation that these guys would just work all day and then go home and watch sports and be completely content in their slavery because they had no fucking idea, no fucking understanding of the system whatsoever. And it just made me want to put bullets in all of their fucking heads because these guys were so fucking brain dead. Okay, yes, you can watch a fight with your boys from time to time, but outside of that, watching sports is something that you need to sacrifice if you're really serious about getting your mentality together and escaping the traps of wage slavery and living and thinking like a free man. Okay, you're never going to look at things the same once you realize you have no effect over the outcome. It's one company versus the other company. Okay, it does not fucking matter in the real world. Next up, TV shows. The average American watches 34 hours of TV a week. That is a part-time job. Okay, you've got no excuse for not having money if you're watching 34 hours of TV a week. That's more than enough time to build a passive money-generating business. That's more than enough time to build a service-based business on top of your regular job that you're able to get profitable, get running, and then quit your real job, quit your day job, and focus full-time on that. Okay, that's something you could do in even 6 months. You get your real estate license. You could shovel driveways. You could do web programming services. You could do accounting services. Whatever talent you have, 34 hours a week that you would be watching TV, you can devote to getting your own business going. Okay, TV is an indoctrination machine, and it promotes debt, it promotes consumer culture, it promotes shitty values, all of which you're opting out of. So cut that cable, save yourself $150 a month or whatever it is, and if you want to watch a few quality shows like House of Cards or some other really good shows, Mad Men, just watch them online. Save the if you want to watch a show with with one of your girlfriends. You know, you guys can have a show that you watch every time. Just download it online. It's really easy. I watch a few, I'll watch a few things online, but maybe only a couple hours a week. And if I want to watch something, I just download it. It's super easy. And you won't regret it, okay? There's this big idea of you got to be an informed citizen. I don't miss anything from not watching TV, and if I want to inform myself on some of the world's events, I'll have a look at it online. But don't kid yourself that this is something that you need to do. It is entertainment. I'll read about history and I'll read about politics and philosophy. The main reason I read about that is for my website, so that I can formulate ideas and concepts and articles for deprogramming you guys. But that is entertainment, okay? That is not working on my business. Working on my business and entertainment are two separate things. And the reading, as much as I learn from it, that's something I do after I've done the day's work, okay? Movies, same thing. Movies are the same as TV. Just stream and download the occasional movie. Indulge in moderation. The only time I can sit through a whole movie is when I have a girl over or I'm with my guy friends. Otherwise, I'll watch it for about 15 or 20 minutes, get bored, and then go do something else. Video games, unfortunately, guys, these have to go. As fun as it is to mow down pedestrians on GTA for about 3 hours, this is the least productive thing you can do. Now, if you're already on schedule and you are working 10, 12 hours a day, you are doing your fitness, you've got your diet together, you've got your style together, your life is running on autopilot, you're 100% on the ball, then you can actually bring that stuff back in. Okay, you can have 2 or 3 hours a night where you watch, where you might want to play video games, you might want to watch something on TV. There are exceptions to this, but when I'm hammering you guys on getting rid of this stuff, it's for the guy who is a slave to all this stuff and doesn't have his life in order. Okay, if you're maxed out your sexual market value's maxed out, you've got your own business, your style's together, your whole life is on autopilot, on Wunderlist, with all your tasks automatically popping up every day, and you handle your tasks for that day, then you can reward yourself. You can have a girl over, you can download a movie, you can download a TV show, you can download you can play a video game, whatever it is. Once you have all the other shit together, okay? The guys who, if you want to sit around and smoke weed and jerk off all day, the only guy who should be doing that is the wealthy guy with his own business. Then you can afford to do that shit. But coincidentally, that guy's not going to want to do that, okay? The guy who's being a lazy piece of shit is the guy who shouldn't be. And the guy who can be a lazy piece of shit isn't going to want to be, all right? The rich guy who's got his own business is going to like his business and is going to want to do more work. I can't go one day without doing some type of work because I'm dedicated to it, and you should be too. So the only exception for the movies, the TV show, the video games is if you're on target, if you're doing everything right. Okay, if you're doing everything right, you can have that ice cream with dinner. After dinner, you can play the video game, you can have the girl over, you can watch the movie. But other than that, if you're still transitioning, or maybe you don't have anything going, you got to go cold turkey on this stuff and get rid of it and really get your shit together, okay? So, in summary, if you've designed a reality with an abundance of passive income, great health, leisure, and women, then you can do whatever the fuck you want. Okay, you can watch whatever the fuck you want, but until then, you need to get rid of this garbage. You need to switch your mentality to an achievement mentality, and you got to get high on achieving stuff in your life instead of living a life that you hate and being in a pleasure-seeking avoidance mentality where you avoid into drugs and alcohol and masturbation and beer and pizza and TV and video games and movies because you're trying to get away from the fucking life that you hate. you need to switch over to an achievement mentality and get high on how much you accomplished that day. I get high on accomplishing my tasks. I get high on writing my articles. I get high on promoting and producing my ebooks. I get high on making more money every month than I did the month before. That stuff I get high. That doesn't compare to any kind of drug. That feeling of satisfaction and achievement, and that's what you have to switch your mind to. You need to become an achiever, and you need to become a winner, and you need to become the guy who gets high on doing great things, and then you'll be able to generate a life that you don't have to escape from. I don't have to escape from anything because I built a life where I can live in a beautiful climate and I can do whatever I want because I made the sacrifices before, and because of all the stuff that I gave up before. I gave up the movies and the video games and all that shit to have the life that I want now. So you need to sacrifice the things that you want to get the life that you want down the road. Okay? Instead of escaping reality, focus on creating a reality that you don't want to escape from. Alright? Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I wish you all the best.